Well, after a lovely breakfast and a bit of a chill, looking out the patio doors of this wonderful coast, it's time to go in that direction towards Quay. A longer walk, looks a good day for it. So we're going to walk from the apartments over to here, which is the start of the official walkway from Abereron to Quay. This is at the Gilfach Holiday Park. There's a table there just on the way up. Once we climb up the walkway, we see the sad demise of one of the holiday chalets that was knocked down yesterday. We saw from the other side, from the cove, that area there looks liable to collapse and go crashing down into the cove. Is that the reason they're having to build a new site up on the top? And the second chalet gone. Sad. As we walk up to the new development, we can see smoke. It's obviously burning what was left of the old chalets. A little bit inconvenient. The visual walkway starts just up here to the right, I believe. It did rain quite a lot last night, so I hope it's not too muddy all along the way. So let's embark. It's been all uphill so far. And the first feature we hit is this gate. Overlooks the field. And the first gate that we have to cross is coming up. Oh, it wasn't as I thought. The gate goes to the right, and thankfully we can start to go downhill. I'm not very good at uphills. So we're trekking alongside, and it looks like we're going to go down to the right, closer to the actual beach. That'd be nice. Let's get down there. So the smoke from the fire of the burning chalets looks pretty. Wasn't very nice just to walk through. There's the cove. And our next gate. And it's immediately followed with another gate. Difficult to be one-handed. Plenty of water about, but it's not really muddy. It just seems to be water laying on top of the ground. Considering the storm we had just a few days ago, I thought this would be almost impassable. I don't think it could get any worse than this. and in the summer it'd be lovely and dry. So let's trek on. Well, I didn't have to go very far from that last gate to get our first glimpse of Quay. And another gate. And you know, it's a lot longer walk this than the Gilfach to Abererron. But it doesn't look as if it's going to take in as many inclines. Maybe there could be a couple. But it looks like it's going to be an easier walk. About, I don't know, 3 mile compared to the 1.5 mile. But so far it's looking easier. Of course, you've always got your coast to your right. There's a few rocks and things down there, and some people are obviously walking to the edge to get a better view. I don't fancy falling in. Meanwhile, on the track, things are getting a little bit muddy, and might have to give up the tidiness of the boots on this bit. There's no edge to walk on. Maybe I could do some parkour or something. There's a little brick down here I can put my foot on. I'm eventually going to have to put my foot in mud. There you go. So a bit tricky that. The boots are not too muddy. It's like fresh water on top of the mud. So if you're fairly careful, you don't get splashed. Most of the tracks being like this. I don't know where this is going. I like it when you can't tell what's going to happen next. I suppose in the summertime, after spring, this will be all leafy. But for the moment, it's not the fully enclosed dark tunnel it would be when we've got a full canopy of leaves. That looks like a good camp in there. And the pathway now goes right, and we're opening out again. More fairly gentle downhill, even if there is a bit of mud. It's quite easy this walk compared to the walk into Abererron. I'm starting to get the feeling we're not getting anywhere closer to Quay. This has happened with Abererron. You got a little glimpse of it, and then you'd walk around what you thought was about half the way there, and it wasn't any closer. There's still more soggy wet paths. Let's see where this takes us. There are places to fall, so if you've got a dog, maybe if you trust it and it's fairly fit, you'll be fine. But you wouldn't want to clamber up that if you accidentally fell, especially after a few beers. We're coming up to our first crossing feature, although there's a bit of horrible mud before it. This is our first crossing, our first bridge. Of course, it's not quite as pretty as the bridges we've seen on the Aberaeron walk, but it is kind of cute. So we get to see where this path starts to wind down to the get round the next bit of terrain. Yeah, still fairly easy walking this. That was an easy walk from where I last stopped. It goes over about here. And we can start to go downhill again. This is an easier walk. And you can see people obviously stand there to get pictures of the rocks down below, but I just don't fancy an accident today. Ooh. Ah, I wasn't expecting that. So the train suddenly got very steep. A little bit careful negotiating. You don't put your foot on the rocks in an awkward way, because they do move and then you can slip. Now I guess that's an unofficial pathway. I don't know whether that's worth doing. We'll do the actual path. It might make the trip a bit longer, but we see what it offers. Well, obviously that was a shortcut and plenty of people have taken it, but I'm not in a rush. And I don't want to end up on my arse. So this is probably a junction. We can go multiple ways. Let's see what our options are. We know where we want to go, of course. So it goes past that way, and I have no idea where that's going to go. Let's trek onwards. Choices. Do we bear left? I think so. People have gone down there just for a look. Probably a nice photo opportunity. That's the trek we could have come down, but who knows? Maybe if I was in a rush trying to catch last orders, you'd think there'd be some kind of signage when you get a split in the path like that, but you got the coast there as your guide. This sounds interesting. It's a pretty bridge. Oh my. This would have been spectacular day after Bram. these steps are a bit big. One at a time. Yeah. Not to drop the camera here. That would be pretty disastrous. Let's have a look at this information board. That is pretty spectacular, that, isn't it? You just don't know what gifts this walk's going to give you. But the walkway well, looks less like a walkway, more up an hill, which is pretty slippy. I can see where people have dug their feet in. There's a few rocks there. That's probably the best way. Well, there you go. That's the first slip. I've now got muddy hands. I did bring some tissues, but now I've got muddy trousers as well. Yeah, it looks a bit nasty. You're trying to put your feet on bits that seem to secure. The ground just gave way, over it went. But still, what a beautiful view. Right, get some tissues and clean my hands. Just past a little family with their dog. They've walked from Quay and they're on the way to Aberayron. They're just approaching the treacherous bit I just fell on. Look, they're looking at it, pondering. I won't wait until I see somebody fall. That'd be cruel. Let's carry on with our trek. Oh my goodness, I nearly went again. This ground is just so slippy. You put your foot into one of these wells thinking it's secure, and then it just caves in. A little bit more of this trickiness. They're still negotiating the pathway. Well done. They got to the path. I think if I wasn't holding a camera, I could have rescued myself. It's just a little bit tricky when you're trying not to drop your camera. At least it wasn't near the edge of one of the cliffs. Right, back to normality, I think. I wonder if we got anything like that again. Haven't had a gate for a while. It looks at least easy walking. I don't think it's enclosed. Yep, it does. So let's get up there and see what's happening. Well, it's been all uphill since the bridge. Looks like quite a tall ridge we're going up here. I had to stop for a bit of a breather, but as you can see, we've got a bit more yet. Aberon still seems as far away as it did when I first got a glimpse of it. Funny how it has that effect. More uphill to do. Yeah. Well, I hope we're at the summit here, because my legs are pretty stiff at the moment. My breathing's probably pretty heavy. So it looks like after this gate it's a bit of an easier walk. Still lots of mud around. It looks like it's going to get good from here. Slight incline, but not like walking up the side of a hill. Ooh. Now these pathways, somebody else has found them interesting. Maybe to get to the top for a better view down. Let's not get sidetracked though. I've got enough mud on my trousers. I was a little wrong. There's more elevation. At least it should be mostly downhill from there, I hope. Let's see. Well, I'm hoping that's the summit finally. It's been all uphill since the bridge, and it's quite tiring on the legs. I think if you were fairly young and healthy, you wouldn't even notice it. Phew, downhill, and finally no more uphills. You can see we're such a way up from the sea now, and I think it looks like it's one long downhill and not another cove to go down and up again. Let's see. Interesting shrub. Obviously being shaped by the wind. So it has been all downhill since we reached that summit eventually. But it looks like the path's going a little bit to the left down here. What does it have in surprise for us? Ah, nothing too surprising. Just more comfortable downhill and not much mud. So Is this going to take us back down to sea level? I haven't done that much actual walking on the video. I didn't know how long it would take. I'm just trying to capture the features along the way. And there we see a gate at the bottom. Alright, let's get down there. So nice view there of the area before before Quay. I don't know what it's called. I should have done some research. There's an holiday park there. I wonder if we have to walk through or to the side of that. That looks like a nice little private beach, doesn't it? Let's see where this takes us. It continues to go downhill. I'm very confident now. There's no more big surprises. We've reached the bottom, I think, and we're walking up. No idea what's around here. Turning more into a little forest walk than a coastal walk. Still have to navigate water and mud. Now that looks like a path going off to the right. So where does that go? I bet you that goes down to the beach or something. The main walkway seems to be this way. And I presume that path there is a continuation of the path that goes down to the, I don't know, maybe a little cove or something. And this is our walkway. No signs. But if you do have a tendency to be lost, I mean, you've always got the coast to your side. You always know which direction you're going in. An interesting bit of path. It's the way it varies, keeps it interesting. Beautiful old wood. Probably looks better now than it does at late spring and summer. It looks more dramatic. Okay. A bit of a downhill here. I'll catch you in a bit. So it's December the 12th, nearly mid-December, and it's quite warm. I'm regretting bringing this big coat of mine. So it's obviously the walk. It just looks like somebody's field. I presume this is always a stream. As I say, we did have a lot of rain early in the morning last night. Now this looks more like somebody's field. So let's trek on. Yeah, that looks like we're going to be walking through the holiday park. So there's an open gate there and our walkway path here, but for the sake of it, let's do our official gate. Now I wonder whether this walk is broken up, the way it's broken up at the Gilfach holiday resort, the holiday village. Maybe have a little look around it, if that's the case. This ground's not quite as level as it looks on camera. There's little bits that are slippy. You can feel my feet wanting to go when you stand on this little slopey edge. So I should have walked to the left side there, it's a bit taller, less soggy. Again, very fortunate people to live with a view like that. And let's crack on. The track seems to bear off to the left here, but to the bottom down there's a gate. So let's have a wander down to the gate and see if that's the official walkway, or whether this well-trodden track, which I guess really should be the best indicator,